Chapter 1407, Roaming Dragon List 5. Nangong Luyan laughed out loud softly, his arms crossed before his chest. He smiled charmingly. Luo girl is in so much of a hurry to marry me. Who's interested in marrying you? It seems you're a quiet narcissistic. Su Luo snorted in annoyance. Her high and mighty temper hadn't been eliminated yet. Clearly, she was standing between them. Based on when they talked, she was like a deaf person, completely unable to hear anything. Su Luo felt she was extremely wronged. Not interested? Then because you cannot get married to me, so you kick me? Nangong Luyan held the leg that was kicked and pitifully pouted his red little lips. I'm not afraid of you. Su Luo also knows, since Master didn't say anything before, then he definitely had his plans. No matter what she said, she wouldn't be able to change the outcome, so Su Luo just switched the topic. As long as your injury gets better, then first place is yours to take. But what am I supposed to do? It's not that Su Luo belittled herself. Rather, she was just an honest 8th rank. Her strength was displayed out there like that. How was she to fight? It was the same as asking her to win a fight against Nangong Luyan. Absolutely impossible. We must win. Nangong Luyan's tone was unprecedentedly serious and grave. Can't win? Su Luo spread out her hands. Don't worry, at the worst I'll kill them all. Nangong Luyan's eyes were pitch black and bottomless, so deep as to be immeasurable, making it impossible to tell if his words were true or false. Do you have to be so outrageous? Su Luo felt this wasn't really that fair. We must win. This time, Nangong Luyan was exceptionally firm. Su Luo was speechless. Now, the ancestors of these families have returned. Concerning their family's seeded player, they are all well protected. I think the difficulty of killing them will be much higher than for me to win against them. Therefore, Luo girl must cultivate diligently, strive for second place. Nangong Liuyun's face was brimming with smiles, as if the Azura with a murderous aura that just crawled out of from hell just now wasn't at all related to him. Got it? Su Luo nodded her head helplessly. Be that as it may, but Su Luo still speechlessly lifted her eyes to the sky. Let's hope this time her luck was still as good as before. In the wake of Grandmaster Rong Yun's arrival, the 4 secondary judges also arrived, so the Roaming Dragon List competition was held as scheduled. Before the competition, Bei Chening ran over excitedly. He accompanied Su Luo to walk while talking. Only 100 contestants will enter from 200. A lot of people bet that you would lose. Su Luo suddenly returned to her senses. Tell me about the rules of the competition. Bei Chening's eyes opened wide in an instant. Rules of the competition? Yes, rules of the competition. Su Luo very calmly nodded. Bei Chening staggered and almost fell down and shouted in disbelief. The competition is about to start today, and you still don't know the rules of the competition? Su Luo feigned calmness. Am I not waiting for you to tell me? In fact, Su Luo had wanted to ask about it yesterday, but the conversations with Master and Nangong Luyan disturbed her state of mind. She tossed and turned the whole evening and could not sleep. So, she forgot to ask about the situation. Bei Chening put his palm on his forehead helplessly. Really admire you. Su Luo laughed calmly. Really was the emperor not worried, but the eunuchs were anxious. Bei Chening was helpless. He could only explain everything to Su Luo in detail, so she could understand it. The competition was divided into preliminaries and finals. From the top 10 families, every family had 10 spots, a total of 100. The rest of the sects and families on the continent also had a total of 100 spots. Chapter 1408, Roaming Dragon List 6, 100 spots. Every spot was not easy to come by. Everyone had to pass layers after layers of selection, until the candidates with the most potential remained. Then, these 200 people drew lots, fought one-on-one against each other, and that's how the top 100 candidates are decided. Of course, there was the possibility that Su Luo would be eliminated in this round. If her luck was bad and she drew the top contestant of the last Roaming Dragon List competition, Luo Haoming. Su Luo touched her nose. Her luck couldn't be so bad as to be stuck in such an outrageous circumstance, right? But they hadn't drawn lots yet, so who knows? This time, a group of people had already arrived on the battle stage. Originally, Eastern Ling's battle stage was very bad. Experts at the 10th rank simply could not fight on it, because very possibly, with one punch, the stage would fall apart completely. However, Grandmaster Rong Yun was indeed very strong. After he reinforced the battle stage, it seemed to be enveloped in a protective layer. Even if a commander-ranked expert was to hit it, he might not be able to break it apart. The battle stage was a kilometer long in the shape of an oval. It was surrounded by gradually rising layers of spectator seats. Based on size, it could hold 200,000 spectators. In the middle of the battlefield, there were 5 platforms of different sizes. In the distinguished guest gallery, 5 judges were already seated. At the same time, the top 10 family seats were all near the distinguished guest gallery, very close to the battle stage. The battle stage was already reinforced by Grandmaster Rong Yun, so there was no need to worry about the dangers of the battle spreading. However, a competition of this level, Grandmaster Rong Yun definitely did not have to show up. This time, all the competitors had arrived. At this time, the host was on stage announcing the rules. Because time was limited, every day there would be 4 fights on 5 platforms. In other words, there were 20 fights every day. The top 100 competition would be completely finished in 5 days. Moreover, every fight would have a time limit of 1 hour. If after 1 hour a victor had not emerged, then both would be eliminated, so the fight would be very quick. The host held a huge horn, still continuing to rile up the crowd with his passion. After 3 months of primary selection, the 200 experts are freshly out of the fire. Every one standing here is an expert with the most potential on the continent. Today, we will start the top 100 competition. Only those that enter the top 100 will be able to really prove their potential. A string of excited cheers resounded from the spectators. They had also bought tickets to see the previous small matches, but how could it be compared to this? Not mentioning others, just 10 strong experts from each of 10 powerful families. They were all amazing characters. Only when the strongest clashed with the strongest would it be the most marvelous to watch. Comparing to this, the competitions before could only be considered exhibition games. At this time, Bei Chening, who sat beside Su Luo, said to her in a low voice, "Sister-in-law, you must win. I have bet all my money on you." "Bet on me?" Su Luo blinked her eyes. "Why not bet on yourself?" "Because your payout is a lot higher. Bei Chening covered his mouth and muttered to Su Luo. "Before there were people spreading rumors that you were only at the 5th rank, and that Nangong personally stepped out to snatch a spot for you. You must know a 5th rank is at the very bottom here, so betting on you to win, the payout is 1 to 5. In other words, bet 1 get 5. Being the banker in a bet wasn't only Bei Chenying's family. This was the best opportunity to earn money. Therefore, every powerful family all participated, each becoming banker and each placing their own bets. Chapter 1409, Roaming Dragon List 7. When do they stop taking bets? Su Luo's eyes shone with a trace of craftiness. Before, she and Bei Chening had already talked about using the Dragon Jade Pendant to cheat. Didn't expect that Su Zian and Li Yaoyao's rumors would help her this much. Before the results from the drawing lots come out, Bei Chenying's smile was as radiant as the sun. "Are you bankrolling the bet?" Lan Xian and Yi both have shares. Bei Chening had recruited those two. Su Luo carelessly handed him a bag. "Look for families that aren't pleasing to your eyes, then help me make the bets. Remember, bet it all on me to win." This was not ordinary gold and silver, it was all crystal stones. But this was the primary competition, and the chances were too big, so crystal stones were limited to green-colored ones. But for Su Luo, no matter how small the mosquito, it was still meat, so she had no plans to pass it up. Especially Jade Lakesleaf family. Su Luo's eyes shone with a crafty smile. "Understood." Bei Chening carried the bag of crystal stones and hurriedly left. At this time, the host on the stage still continued passionately. Roaming Dragon List competition that happens once every 10 years, giving birth to countless experts that people look up to. Those who can enter the top 10 of the Roaming Dragon List in the future all steadily reach the sacred domain. Now, let us wait and see. Let's watch the top 100 competition. Sacred domain ranks were divided into commander rank, saint rank, and sovereign rank. However, between 10th rank and commander rank, there seemed to be a deep Mariana Trench, a very difficult border to cross over. If you can cross over, it's like a boundless open world. Now, the fate-deciding moment has arrived. Luck is a part of strength. Let us see what kind of luck the participants have. Following, let's begin to draw lots. The host's words could be heard clearly. This host could really speak. He made the atmosphere in the arena burn hot with excitement. This segment of drawing lots had finally arrived. Don't worry, believe in your luck. Nangong Luyan looked at Su Luo with a smile. You're sure? Su Luo asked, giggling. Yes, right now. You will not draw the lots for Luo Haochen and the other several people. Nangong Luyan said confidently. Then what about you? Su Luo blinked. Will you draw the lots of someone that could battle with you? Nangong Luyan's expression changed slightly. This was indeed what was called, even the wisest make mistakes. Even Nangong Luyan had times of reaching mistaken ways of thinking. Su Luo thought about this and started giggling. Nangong Luyan patted Su Luo's shoulders in annoyance, his lips hooking into a pampering smile. How could he let Su Luo and himself fight each other so early on? He's not stupid. Even if he wanted to meet Su Luo so early, Grandmaster Rong Yun's side also wouldn't let it happen. Idiot. Nangong Luyan rubbed Su Luo's head. When Luo girl was being silly, she looked especially cute. When the two of them were talking and laughing, Beichen Ying ran over eagerly. The bets are placed? Su Luo saw him, and her mood became extremely good, as if she could already see piles of crystal stones flying her way. Half of the crystals were placed on bets with Jade Lakesley family. Beichen Ying remained calm and sat down, smoothed out his robe, and said, giggling, Sister-in-law, you better work hard for this fight. Relax, there's definitely no problem. Su Luo was full of self-confidence. At this time, the people whose names were called went onto the stage, one by one. Nangong Luyan, Su Luo, and others also followed up soon after. This time's lots were very simple. They were divided into two groups, A and B. From A1 to A100 and from B1 to B100, if you were to draw A1, then your opponent would be B1, and so on. The rules were very simple. Chapter 14:10, Roaming Dragon List 8. After each person drew a lot, the judges would check it. Then they had to stand in the place designated to the number to wait for their opponent to appear opposite of them. This number also represents the order of the fights later. First stage, 1 to 5, second stage, 5 to 10, and so on. Sister-in-law, what number do you have? Beichen Ying's luck was not good. He actually drew a 1. Didn't that mean he would appear in the first fight? Just at this time, a man with an iron tower-like figure stomped over like a mountain, step by step, walking to the opposite of Beichen Ying. Su Luo patted Beichen Ying's shoulder to console him. Number 36. Su Luo lifted up the sign in her hand and walked away, giggling. Beichen Ying glared at the strong man opposite of him in displeasure. When I, Grandpa, was in the 9 different palace halls, how awesomely strong were those iron tower-like strongmen. This Grandpa still destroyed them, just based on you guys? A piece of cake. Let's not talk how much Beichen Ying looked down on his opponent, and talk about Su Luo over there. With the number of people growing, very quickly, the long line of people was nearly full. But Su Luo was puzzled, because she waited and waited, but her opponent still hadn't arrived yet. Number B36, vacant, considered as automatically forfeiting the competition. Not long after, the sound of the host could clearly be heard. Immediately, Su Luo's mouth formed an O shape. The people around turned to look at Su Luo, one after another. Damn it. Who is this person? Wasn't her luck too good? Obviously, it was a 200-people competition. There was no need for an empty place. But this lady's luck was so good as to defy the gods. Her opponent actually didn't show up. Beichen Ying incredulously opened his eyes wide, but soon after, he relaxed. That's right, Su Luo's luck had always defied the natural order. Who could compare with her when it comes to luck? Able to draw out the 1 in 100 opportunity of a vacant position. This was a part of her strength. This time, the news of a forfeited spot had spread through the entire arena. Immediately, the whole arena was in a commotion. Who is this so amazing? She doesn't even need to fight in the first round at all, directly advancing to the top 100 strongest. Was there anything that was easier than this? Who is that miss? That's right. In the end, who is she? Don't know if I just so happened to bet that she would win. Don't know. She looks really pretty. Could she be the Jade Lakes fairy? Fart. How could the Jade Lakes fairy be as beautiful as this miss? Are your eyes covered by feces? Then you tell me, that miss is which deity? In the end, everyone was discussing this spiritedly, but no one could guess Su Luo's identity. In fact, at that time, Su Luo and Su Qing had fought a life-and-death battle on this stage, so a lot of people in the imperial capital had seen her figure. But now, she was as beautiful as an immortal goddess. Those people simply didn't think of Su Luo at all. At this time, Bai Qining winked toward Su Luo. Lan Xian, that kid, was also worry-free. He yelled loudly and waved at Su Luo. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law. Seeing Su Luo ignoring him, he simply ran over to her with several steps. While running, he also yelled loudly, Luo Luo, Su Luo, Luo Luo? Could it be? This was impossible, right? A lot of people obviously didn't believe it. Lan Xian, this fool, saw Su Luo as if she hadn't heard him, waved his hand, and loudly shouted, Su Luo, over here, over here. X. Really? This is Su Luo? That little concubine's kid from Su family? The rumored 5th rank, that person His Highness Prince Jean, just simply snatched a place for her from Nangong family. The rumored person that won't spare a drop of blood to save the official wife and brother's lives. Chapter 14:11. Roaming Dragon List 9. The person that has the spirit blood? Grandmaster Rong Yun's last disciple. No wonder. In the wake of each of her identities being spread out, now, the entire populace recognized Su Luo. Su Luo slanted Lan Xian, this fool, a displeased look. Was it glorious to be recognized under such circumstances? It just so happened that her teacher is Grandmaster Rong Yun, and Grandmaster Rong Yun just so happened to be the head judge. Alas, this seed that was planted in the squash field. Sister-in-law, why do you look miserable? There is a big handful of crystal stones. Let's go. We should immediately go to Jade Lakesley family to get it. Lan Xian, this impatient child, couldn't even wait for one moment more as he busily urged Su Luo. Su Luo repeatedly smiled bitterly in her heart, but her face remained motionless like the mountain, calm and unperturbed. Yes, we ought to go and take back the money we won. Su Luo confidently handed the sign over to the host. Then, she patted her hand and, under the attention of the 100,000 people present, she calmly walked off the stage. She walked towards the booth the Jade Lakesley family had set up for betting. She really has the nerve. That's right. Clearly she cheated. Who cheated? How did they cheat? This is called luck, okay? Don't you guys understand? If there were people that slandered, naturally, some people would come to fight for justice. This was merely good luck. Some people muttered, not accepting it. What's wrong with having good luck? Didn't you hear what the host said? Luck is also a part of strength. Then, how is it that out of 200 people, she just so happened to draw number 36? Before the start of the competition, who knew whether number 36 would come or not? There were two groups under the stage. One group supported Su Luo, the other group would attack Su Luo from various angles. But Su Luo completely ignored all this. She only unhurriedly stopped before Jade Lakesley family's booth and took out the receipt that Bai Qining brought on her behalf. 100 pieces of green-colored crystal stones. Su Luo's lips perked up into a ghost of a smile. 100 green-colored crystal stones weren't that much, but it was enough to cause Li Yaoyao heartache. Watching the booth was a youth no more than 18 years old. He hesitantly looked at the receipt in Su Luo's hand, and his gaze uneasily glanced towards the direction of the second floor. This was a hall that was 2 floors high. There was a very thick curtain hanging over the doorway to the second floor. but Su Luo could feel a malicious evil meaning shooting towards her from that direction. Su Luo's sneeze was so strong that in an instant, she knew Li Yaoyao sat on the second floor. Should she directly eliminate Li Yaoyao? Su Luo still shook her head. Everyone knew she and Li Yaoyao was like oil and water. If Li Yaoyao was to die here now, the suspicion on her would be very big. Su Luo unhurriedly leaned against the sales counter, the mocking smile at the corner of her mouth increasingly expanding. What? Jade Lakesley family can't afford the loss? A trace of anger flashed through that youth's eyes. Who said Jade Lakesley family can't afford the loss? Humph. Some people, in order to win, really will do anything. Nobody had thought that at this time, the always smiling and easygoing Su Luo would actually immediately turn hostile. What's the matter with this bet that Jade Lakesley family set up? Shouldn't you be paying money for the loss? To deliberately falsely accuse other people, actually to say the competition has dirty tricks. Then who dares to bet here? Everyone, am I right or not? Immediately, a lot of people also followed in agreement. It's not because they all supported Su Luo, rather, they all placed bets here at Jade Lakesley family. At the time, if Li family didn't pay out, that loss was not only one person's. This concerned their benefits. As a result, each and every one of the gamblers started to stamp their feet and rain curses upon the booth. Chapter 14:12 Roaming Dragon List 10 Su Luo was able to control these gamblers' heart. That youth hasn't seen the world. How could he deal with this kind of situation? Immediately, he was somewhat at a loss as to what to do. At this time, an elderly man that continuously coughed slowly walked out from inside. He waved his hand, and the surrounding liveliness was halted by his imposing manner. Afterwards, he coldly said to Su Luo, Jade Lakesley family is as good as their words. Won't cheat the young nor old. I ask that this miss don't start a rumor. Su Luo coldly raised an eyebrow. Start a rumor? Then I'd like to first ask who is really starting a rumor. Everyone say, am I right? Yes. The gamblers at this time were unprecedentedly united. This elderly man was an elder that followed at Li Yaoyao's side protecting her. He was dispatched down here by Li Yaoyao. Originally, she wanted to have him taunt Su Luo. But who was to know that this miss was so clever and eloquent? Her mouth was what was called nimble, directly forcing a person to have nothing to say. Under thousands of staring eyes, this normally icily arrogant elder, whose nose was pointed to the sky, also couldn't do anything about this. He could only, for the time being, yield first and let the youth apologize to Su Luo. Su Luo waved her hand. Naturally, someone needs to apologize, however, that person is not you. Now, without delay, first convert my winnings into crystal stones. Su Luo tossed the receipt over. 1 to 5 bet, this 100 green-colored crystal stones, in a flash, became 500 green crystal stones. This money-making speed was simply too fast for even a horse rider on a horse to catch up to. If they didn't know Su Luo's identity, if they didn't know the solitary Colicchio was killed by an expert at Su Luo's side, this large bag of crystal stones would attract how many coveting eyes? In a private booth on the second floor, a miss wearing a white muslin over her face sat on the yellow rosewood chair. Her hand fiddled with a white jade cup, but through the window opening, she watched Su Luo's gradually departing figure, and the white jade cup in her hand was crushed into fine powder. Eldest miss, elderly saw Li Yaoyao's sinister expression, and his heart jumped slightly. Clean this up. Li Yaoyao coldly snorted, turned around, and left the private booth on the second floor. Su Luo, right? 500 green-colored crystal stones, right? I don't believe I can't make you spit out these 500 green-colored crystal stones. Li Yaoyao's face was twisted, eyes giving off a malicious light. On top of the fighting stage, the fights had already begun. When Su Luo returned, the first 10 fights had already finished. Bei Chening, completely lacking any suspense, won. The selection of people from the 10 powerful families were decided by the families. whereas the other 100 spots were based on competition of people really fighting and giving their all to get it. When they were competing at that time, the competition had a name called the list outside of the roaming dragon list. Lan Xian was very unfortunate. He ran into the number 5 person on the list outside of the roaming dragon list. The two people's fight could be called within an inch of their lives. Finally, with strength drained and spent, Lan Xian at last got the place to advance after a lot of hard work. Among the fight for the top 100, Lan Xian was considered the one that advanced with the most difficulty. Like Nangong Liyun, that was so effortless as if he was drinking water. He had just stood on the stage, and the judge had just said start. His Highness Prince Jing slightly raised a sleeve, and it was as if he was sweeping away dust. Then the opponent was like a kite with broken strings, blown far away by the wind. However, a fighting champion like Nangong Liyun was a known seeded player. In the early stages of the competition, there simply was no chance to set up bets, because he was a seeded player that would steadily win and not lose. So this first match, besides Su Luo, this upset, other people didn't make a lot of profit. Don't worry, there are still many matches after this. As long as your luck is good, we'll be able to steadily win every time. Bai Qinying's smile was as splendid as the summer flower. While reading Dad, Were You Going and writing a little tired. Chapter 14-13, Roaming Dragon List 11. Where would you find such good luck? Su Luo's mouth twitched. Other people definitely won't have it, but you will certainly have it, Bai Qinying said as if making a solemn vow. Want to win crystal stones? Must take advantage of this time. Next time, I'll still bet on you to win. This time, how much did you win? Su Luo smilingly asked, not mentioning that Bai Qinying had become a banker himself. He even ran over to Jade Lakesley family to make a huge bet. The results of the bet bore fruit in piles, making people extremely envious. Not a lot, Bai Qinying complacently smiled. He had collected all those money and crystal stones that people lost through betting on Su Luo losing. He bet all of it at Jade Lakesley family to bet Su Luo would win. Because Bai Qinying knew that those who bet Su Luo would lose were just coming to deliver money to him. If he took it out earlier to use, it was not some alarming matter. Now it's already the top 100 competition. The ones that ought to enter have all entered. Some that shouldn't enter have also entered. Bai Qinying half narrowed his eyes. Next competition, luck is very important once again. If you're not careful and draw Luo Haoming. Sister-in-law, you say, what number do you think Luo Haoming will get next time? Lan Xian, in a lively manner, bounced at the side. You really think I'm a god? Su Luo gave a sigh in annoyance. How could she know things that hadn't happened yet? In any case, you are also half a god. Lan Xian laughed happily and moved close to her. But before he could get close to Su Luo, he was already lifted aside by Nangong Liyun, who then tossed him aside. Anya Ming had his fist before his lips. His lips pursed into a smile. Did you guys watch Luo Haoming's match? At that time, Su Luo had ran over to ask for her betting debts, so she simply didn't see it. Watched it is still useless. Lan Xian spread open his hands. This kind of early-stage competition, Luo Haoming is like second brother. He didn't even use a single move before the opponent was sent flying far away. It's only in the competition for the top 10, before you can slightly scout out his base. Anya Ming's phoenix eyes flashed slightly. However, Luo won't enter the top 10 experts, so this mission won't land on your shoulders. Their meaning was to help Nangong scout out Luo Haoming's hidden trump cards. But Su Luo helplessly hanged her head down. Anya Ming's gaze was insightful. Calculations were accurate. He said Su Luo won't enter the top 10 strongest. Wasn't because he was speaking without thinking. Alas, second place, how remote of a target. Even if Su Luo's space could slow down time by 10 times, that was also of no use. Lan Xian curiously looked at Su Luo with her head drooping down. What are you so broken-hearted over? Your strength simply won't reach the top 10. Able to enter the top 20 experts will depend on whether you bring out your power well or not. It seems to Lan Xian, not to mention top 10, Su Luo wouldn't be able to enter even the top 20 experts. Request not to struck more psychological blows. Su Luo buried her head in Nangong Liuyun's shoulder. She rubbed here and there in his embrace. The exam master gave was excessively too difficult, right? Look at what these two were saying. Even top 20 was only barely up to the task, and still depended on how she brought out her power. Maybe our Luo's luck will be awesome. The whole way, she would end up facing nobody, advancing triumphantly until she sat at second place. At that time, where will the two of your faces be? It would be hit until the pitter-patter sounds echo. Bei Chening, this clown, always liked to liven up the mood. These words of his, you could tell by hearing it that he was talking nonsense. Ziyin saw Su Luo suffering heartache, then gave them a glare. Who said Luo won't enter the top 20 or the top 10? I'll bet she'll sit on the number 1 seat. Ziyin, you are crazy. Suddenly, everyone laughed until they rolled into a circle. Nobody took Ziyan's words seriously. Even Ziyin thought the same. Time passed very quickly. In a flash, 10 days passed. This day came, in an instant. It was the competition of 100 to enter the top 50. Chapter 1414. Roaming Dragon List 12. Before, during the competition, due to hesitation, a pair of fighters was both eliminated. Therefore, among the remaining 99 contestants, there was an empty place. Sister-in-law, that place was specifically created for you. Bei Chening laughed, very pleased with himself. That's right. Sister-in-law, strive to draw that empty place's stick. Lan Xian brandished his fist, full of passion. Maybe she really can? Anya Ming said after carefully considering it and calculating. He nodded his head. You guys, Su Luo humped twice. She turned around to wrap her arm around Nangong Liuyun's and directly complained. The several of them joined together to bully me. You say, what's to be done? Nangong Liuyun spoilingly hooked her nose. Other people want this kind of luck and can't get it. Well, you keep pushing it out, foolish girl. Su Luo felt that being pampered and spoiled like this by Nangong Liuyun, her swift, decisive reactions from her previous life that was innate as a secret agent were all about to be lost. To continue like this won't do. As a result, when she was drawing lots, Su Luo closed her eyes, then picked up a bamboo stick and directly tossed it into Nangong Liuyun's arms. Hold it securely. That's the one I drew for you. It's not my own. Nangong Liuyun smiled. His family's Luo girl's appearance even looked cute when she was drawing lots. While thinking this way, Nangong Liuyun then cast a sidelong glance at the host and judges. After those two nodded, expressing their consent, Nangong Liuyun unhurriedly used his clearly jointed finger to unwrap the bamboo stick. Seeing the number on it, Nangong Liuyun's smile paused. What's wrong? Seeing Nangong Liuyun's expression was strange. That group of foolish brothers, each and every one of them eagerly ran over. They reached out to snatch the stick from Nangong Liuyun's hand. It really was because the amount of news on Nangong Liuyun's face was too big. Bei Chening went to snatch it, but Lan Xian slyly mounted a sneak attack on him. Just when the two of them was fighting back and forth, Anya Ming easily accepted that stick from Nangong Liuyun. After looking at it, he gave voice to his laughter. What's wrong? Those two foolish brothers both stopped, pouncing over, full of interest. After looking at what's written on the stick, all four brothers simultaneously placed their gaze on Su Luo's body. They used the gaze of looking at a goddess to look at her. Su Luo very innocently grabbed the back of her head, gaze full of bewilderment. Before, she had closed her eyes and just randomly picked one and tossed it to Nangong Liuyun. Even she didn't know what was on that stick. But seeing the strange expression on their faces, Su Luo felt that this matter seemed odd. Ziyin, who had already picked her stick, rushed over, and in one grab, snatched the stick from Bei Chening's hand. Then, the next moment, she directly spit out her laughs. Empty place? Ziyin stopped her laughs with great difficulty. Did you draw this out again? Damn it. How could a person's luck be so good? The first time her opponent didn't come was fine. The second stage of the competition, She once again drew the empty place? Even Su Luo herself was stupefied. This was impossible, right? She dared to swear on the heavens. She really randomly grabbed it. She completely didn't use cheating tools like the little divine dragon, little stone, and such. Even like this would do. At this moment, everyone present used an extremely strange gaze to look at Su Luo. If there was a dirty trick in here, they would rather take off their head and give it to Su Luo to sit on. In here, there definitely are dirty tricks. Having a master as the head judge was great. Su Luo's heart became somewhat upset from being stared at by everyone. Therefore, without fooling around, she declared, "That bamboo stick is Nangong Liu Yun's, not mine. I haven't drawn my own bamboo stick yet." So, it turned out to be His Highness Prince Jin's. When everyone present heard that the empty place belonged to His Highness Prince Jin, they let out a breath of relief. Chapter 14-15, Roaming Dragon List 13. Everyone knows, to be matched against His Highness Prince Jin, Luo Haoming, these superseded opponents, to go up is to directly lose. Therefore, nobody wanted to draw these people. Now, His Highness Prince Jin had drawn the empty place stick, then their chances of being eliminated became less by a portion. Although that bamboo stick was drawn by Su Luo, but she still needed to draw again for herself. Quickly draw, quickly draw. In the surroundings, Bei Chening and these others urged Su Luo nonstop. They really were extremely curious. Don't know who Su Luo will draw with her next bamboo stick. Under thousands of staring eyes, Su Luo's hand slowly extended out. She closed her eyes and once again randomly grabbed another bamboo stick. Come, let us look and see what the biological child of the goddess of luck, Miss Su Luo, drew this time. Bei Chening, in a lively manner, imitated the host's tone and started to unfold that bamboo stick. Bei Chening cried out in surprise. Everyone's heart, including Su Luo's, all was raised up high. What ghost showed up again? Su Luo was even more speechless as she looked at her own slender jade-like hands. Overdrawing on good luck like this, in the future, her fortune would be thin. Just when everyone thought Su Luo had drawn another good bamboo stick, Bei Chenying's gaze slowly swept around all the people in the surroundings. Afterwards, he used a regretful tone to say, "How come this time it's normal? This is too strange, okay?" Bang! Lan Xian's large palm directly slapped his head. "You bastard. Can't you speak with your tongue straight? Clearly a matter that required one sentence. Yet you had to breathe deeply." Su Luo was finally able to put her heart back into her chest. She thought that she had once again drawn a stick that was in defiance of the natural order. The beautiful youth dressed in red Bei Chening smiled mischievously and leaned close to Su Luo. The opponent is number 13 on the list outside of the Roaming Dragon list. Lan Zhixiao. This person, you know him? Bei Chening nodded furiously. Other people really may not know him. But this person, he. In the end, what dark secrets are inside? Quickly say it. Su Luo's heart suddenly had a very bad premonition. But this time, Bei Chening defended this secret to the death and actually wouldn't say anything. Bei Chening, you really won't tell me? Su Luo grabbed his collar, saying in a threatening tone, "Second brother Nangong, your wife is bullying me. Save me, Bei Chening made a big fuss and ran all over the place. Him running around like this. How could Su Luo chase after him without looking shameless? He could be shameless, but Su Luo was a good miss that needed to look reserved. Su Luo was so angry that she gritted her teeth, so could only hatefully threaten him in her heart. Bei Chening, you bastard, wait for me, your older sister. This woman will take revenge. Even if it takes 100 years, it still won't be too late. Hey, sister-in-law, don't get twisted. Wait for when you go on stage to fight, then you'll find out. Really, do you want me to give you a hint of his bottom? Bei Chening had an ingratiating appearance. Don't need it. Su Luo rolled her eyes at him. Then okay, wait until the next fight. You cough, and short, take care of yourself. Finished speaking these words, Bei Chening was afraid he would be grabbed back and threatened by Su Luo, and hurriedly ran away. Then, he obediently stood in front of his number in line. The person across from Beichun coldly humphed, softly mumbling to himself. This was a competition. Never seen someone being so absurd. Absurd, your younger sister. Young Master Beichin directly roared back. Su Luo could curse him and control him, but it was only her and no one else. Other people dared to say half a sentence about him. Then they didn't want their head. You, that person originally mumbled to himself. Didn't expect the opposite beautiful youth actually heard everything clearly. Now, being so rudely rebuked by Beichen, his face became red from being stifled. Chapter 14:16, Roaming Dragon List 14. You bastard said who is absurd? You just wait on the battle stage. This young master will make you absurd beyond belief. Beichen lifted up his sleeves, having an attitude of about to go all out in a battle. Fool! Su Luo, who stood silently not far away, turned her face away. She really wanted to pretend not to know Beichen, this guy. After the drawings were completed, the group of people came down from the stage. This time, the top 50 competition would begin. There was a round every hour. Every round, there were 5 matches occurring at the same time. Therefore, the competition would be completed in one day. This time, Su Luo had already bet 600 green-colored crystal stones on herself, naturally to win. She made the bet before she even drew the lots. After drawing the lots were completed, bets wouldn't be accepted. This time, Su Luo's number was 20, so before she had a chance to watch many of the matches, it was her turn. Unhurriedly walking onto the fighting stage, Su Luo's whole body was on guard and entered the stage of getting ready to battle. This time, she decided not to summon her spirit pets and wouldn't borrow from any other external force, just basing on her body's current strength to have a proper one-on-one battle with the opponent. At this time, Su Luo's opponent also stood on the stage. This was a youth around 15 to 16 years old. He was dressed in purple from head to toe. He had delicate and pretty features like a porcelain doll, but that figure was simply a tragic sight. The clothes on his body were wrinkled just like dried tofu. It hung wretchedly on his body. This was fine, but what was most hateful was that his whole face looked sleepy with drowsy eyes, as if he still hadn't woken up. Su Luo's brows wrinkled. However, in secret, she persuaded herself. You can't judge a person by appearance, just as you can't measure the sea with a pint pot. The more powerful the expert, the more enigmatic their actions would be. Just when Su Luo imagined that the opponent was a strong expert, this youth smiled toward Su Luo. Can we start? Su Luo's brows wrinkled. This young master looked very lazy, didn't have a bit of the air of an expert. And then start? He loosely took the horse stance. Su Luo assumed a fighting posture. As a result, the two people started to stand in opposition, encircling each other, walking here and there, but nobody made the first move. Just like this, the two people took strides to walk here and there. They walked for nearly a stick of incense's time. The spectators watching this almost all dozed off, and the two people on the stage still hadn't started to fight. You start first, ah? The lazy youth said frankly to Su Luo. You come and hit me, ah? Su Luo wasn't about to fall for it. Okay, I'll go hit you. The lazy youth sent out a palm strike that was light as a feather towards Su Luo. Su Luo originally thought that this strike must hide a killing move, because after all, this stage was not a place to play house, ah. This was the top 100 experts from the younger generation on the mainland, okay? As a result, Su Luo was full of expectation of having a real battle with this youth. But she was wrong. She was simply extremely wrong. This palm strike by the youth was really a simple palm strike, the kind that had nothing in it. Just when this palm strike attacked over, Su Luo kicked her legs and made a move called Total Annihilation 1. That would roll him up like a mat. This kick, based on conscience, could be said that Su Luo really didn't use a killing move. She only used 30% of her strength. But what was really hard for her to believe was that lazy youth was actually directly kick-flying. Lost a soft sound echoed. The youth flew in a parabola arc and was shot far out of the battle stage. Afterwards, one could only see him do a carp roll in midair, then flip over like a sparrow. In the end, he lightly landed on the ground. That action, that stance, how easy you want it, it would be that easy. How graceful you want it, and it would be that graceful. 1. Total annihilation move. Okay, people, you know what the author is talking about. The kick to a guy's private place that makes them roll around on the floor in pain. Chapter 14-17. Roaming Dragon List 15. The youth stood on level ground and cupped his hands towards Su Luo, who was on the stage. With an earnest and serious expression on his face, he said, "Mrs. Name is famous and has a well-known reputation. Today's meeting, as expected, you're outstanding. This humble person extremely admires you. The loss today, this humble person accepts wholeheartedly." Su Luo, who was still on the stage, was stupefied. "Accept wholeheartedly your sister, ah? Just based on that agile move of yours, just now when you landed, you bastard was simply throwing this game, ah. Such an obvious move. Don't tell me you think that the spectators are blind, ah?" In Su Luo's heart, there were 10,000 horses wildly rushing on muddy grass plains. She was itching to rush down to grab this youth back up to the stage to compete again. Just when Su Luo's face was getting worse, this youth cupped his hands towards Su Luo and said in a deadly earnest manner, "Mrs. Win is fair and above board, as it should be by rights that fame would follow merit. This place is one you miss deserves. Oh, by the way, please say hello to revered master on my behalf." Finished speaking these words, the youth then carefreely drifted far away. "Hey, I order you to come back." Su Luo was so angry, she almost stamped her feet. Does this person have enmity with her, with deep animosity and great hatred? She didn't exterminate his entire clan in her previous life, right? For him to frame her like this, him hiding his strength and deliberately letting her kick him off the stage was fine. In the end, he actually directly said a sentence, "Please say hello to revered master on my behalf." Was this something that could be casually asked? This clearly was just trying to hide it by making it more conspicuous, ah. Sure enough, as Su Luo anticipated, after the youth carefreely drifted far away, the people below completely erupted. Dirty tricks. There are definitely dirty tricks. Ticket refund. I insist on a ticket refund. This Su Luo is too hateful, right? She actually bribed the other person to deliberately lose to her. I saw it doesn't seem like that. It ought to be that she deliberately threatened the other person with her master's name. If it was like that, then who would dare to compete with her, ah? Whoever drew her from the lots should then just directly admit defeat, ah. In the first round, she depended on the other side not showing show up and missing the competition. So, she directly advanced to the top 100. Just now, don't know what happened when she drew the lots, almost drew the empty place lot, I can let that pass. But the current competition, the opponent simply didn't dare to display his strength and fight with her, ah. Just now, the back view of the youth departing seemed to have changed greatly. That's right, I'll definitely knock down any dirty tricks, determined to overthrow Su Luo. One wave after another wave of discussion came from the spectators' seats. Afterwards, the voices became louder and louder, practically covering all other sounds. On the stage, Su Luo's complexion was black to the pinnacle. Just now, based on that youth's real strength, he simply couldn't beat her. If she had anticipated earlier that it would turn out like this, she would definitely have forced out the opponent's real strength. So it wouldn't be like this now. Hateful. Suddenly, a bright light flashed through Su Luo's mind. She recalled Bai Chen-ying's strange smile when she had just drawn this lot. There was a problem. There definitely was a problem. Maybe Bai Chen-ying knew something. As a result, Su Luo simply didn't have the time to pay attention to the eruptions in the audience, and directly ran to go find Bai Chen-ying. But Bai Chen-ying's competition was earlier than Su Luo's, so at this moment, he had already vanished long ago. Su Luo could also be considered to know a lot about Bai Chen-ying. Without saying anything further, she directly ran to the place where Bai Chen-ying had set up his gambling joint. Bang, a heavy sound rang out, and Su Luo kicked a massive black hole into the firm door. At this moment, Bei Chening was radiant with joy, holding huge piles after huge piles of crystal stones he had just won while counting them. Seeing Su Luo come in, he happily beckoned. "Come over, quickly come over here and count the money with me." Su Luo's complexion was as black as the bottom of a pot. Just when she was about to flare up, she discovered directly facing Bei Chening, a youth was sitting with his back to her. Although she had only seen that youth once, even if he was to turn into dust, she, Su Luo, would recognize him. Chapter 14:18, Roaming Dragon List 16, The Carefree Youth. The main culprit that sank her into the rumors of using dirty tricks. That anger in Su Luo's heart was raging. She directly walked over, lifted that youth up with one grab, and directly did a shoulder throw. "Speak. What hatred do I have with you in the end that made you want to frame me like this?" Su Luo's action was considerably fast. No sooner said than done. That youth simply didn't have enough time to resist. One could only hear a bang sound, and soon afterwards her, without fooling around, tone sounded. Ouch! The youth was thrown in such a way that his buttocks almost split into two pieces. "Why on earth did you hit me? Boo-hoo, boo-hoo." The youth, while massaging his butt, he also resentfully glared at Su Luo. "It was really very painful. Why on earth did you blacken my name?" Su Luo directly got right to the point. "How did I blacken your name? I was helping you, The youth saw Su Luo turn white into black and immediately shouted loudly of the injustice. "Still saying you didn't blacken my name? You, this high-level framer." Su Luo was itching to kick him. "Why did you call me a high-level framer?" The youth expressed he hadn't heard of it, with an expression full of desire for knowledge. Bei Chening, at this moment, was stupefied. From the moment Su Luo entered up to her making the move, although it may look slow, but in reality, this thing happened in the strike of a flint. When Bei Chening returned to his senses, okay, the person that ought to be beaten up, she had already finished beating. Hence, he hurriedly smiled apologetically to smooth things over. What are you two doing? Shouldn't everyone be very happy about winning money?" "Win money?" Su Luo frowned, feeling that somewhere was fishy. "That's right, Little Lee had bet all his crystal stones on you. So this time, he won a lot of profit from Jade Lakesley family, haha." A bright light quickly flashed through Su Luo's mind. "Wait, are you saying you bet I would win?" "That's right, It was also me who incited him to take all of his assets to bet on your win." Bei Chening heartily laughed with he was obviously very proud of himself. "So you're saying, on the battle stage, he deliberately pretended to be weak in front of me?" Su Luo gnashed her teeth. Those words were just like stir-fried beans. Word by word, they jumped out. "If I lost the bet, I would then lose my family's entire fortune and wouldn't even have a nest to sleep in." Little Lee still covered up his burning, but hummed as if he was wronged. "So you deliberately lost just now?" Su Luo was immediately depressed to the point of causing internal injury. She felt as if her hit pounded into cotton, completely unable to alleviate her anger. She asked, spitting in anger, "Before the bet, how did you know you would draw me?" "How would I know, It was all because of Bei Chen conning me. Said to bet on you winning would make me rich. Who would have imagined I had such bad luck? When drawing lots, I actually drew you." Little Lee felt extremely wronged. On one side is the roaming dragon list ranking. On the other side is losing my family fortune. How would you choose? Su Luo. Bei Chening started to laugh. When he saw Su Luo draw this lot, he knew the conclusion would happen like this. So, he was able to laugh so strangely at that time. "Then why did you ask me to say hello to my master on your behalf? Wasn't this clearly making people misunderstand?" Bei Chening smilingly said, "This I know. Grandmaster Rong Yin previously saved Little Lee's life. He also raised him for several years by his side, so this was an unexpected mistake, The corner of Su Luo's mouth twitched. An unexpected mistake was an unexpected mistake. Now her name was already completely connected with dirty tricks, threats, privilege, and so on. adding together her previous life and this lifetime. Her reputation couldn't be worse than it was now. Forget it, be more open with your outlook. You look here, we won so many crystal stones. Baichening saw Su Luo sat there, fuming. He moved closer to tease her into a more cheerful mood. Chapter 1419, Roaming Dragon List 17. Hey, your strength in itself is already there. This is not easy to falsify. Wait until the next time, and you have a proper competition with someone. At that time, you'll amaze the world with a single brilliant feat, and see who still dares hoot about behind-the-scene tricks. What do you say? Baichening accompanied with a foolish laugh. A person that could make young Master Baichen smile apologetically, added together, wouldn't surpass a handful. Good, the next round, I must compete properly. Su Luo made a fist. Although Baichening wasn't reliable, he actually said the right sentence. Wait until she could reveal her real strength. At that time, these rumors would naturally break without her attacking it. Thinking like this, Su Luo also calmed down and entered the ranks of those counting money. The top 50 people of the Roaming Dragon list had already come out. Luo Haoming, these seeded players, as expected, all advanced. On Su Luo's side, Nangong Luya and his 4 brothers in addition to Ziyin, also all advanced. Fortunately, my luck wasn't the worst. If I drew the death lot, then I certainly would really die. Lan Xian patted his little chest with some lingering fear. The death lot Lan Xian was talking about pointed to the opponent being Nangong Luya or Luo Haoming. At the moment, these two people's reputations were extremely high. However, don't know how, the matter of Nangong Liuyun's body, having suffered a serious injury, was secretly transmitted outwards. Moreover, this matter got hotter and hotter. Practically everyone knew. So on the matter of momentum, Nangong Liuyun was lower by a token than Luo Haoming. Speaking of luck, everyone's gazes uniformly shot towards Su Luo. Why are you guys looking at me like this? Su Luo was being stared at until the bottom of her heart got the creeps. Alas, luck ah luck, Lan Xian repeatedly sighed. Sister-in-law, how about the next time, when we draw the lots, you draw for me? The corner of Su Luo's mouth twitched. Only after a long time did she say, go play on the side. Finished speaking, she fiercely glared at Baichening. Baichening recalled little Li's matter from before and laughed. Hee hee. Finally, the more he laughed, the louder he became. He fell just short of rolling about on the ground. Su Luo speechlessly turned her head around and firmly said, next time, I'll make those people see my awesomeness. You must. Baichening agreed, very much like a lackey. There were still 10 days before the next competition. In these 10 days, Su Luo single-mindedly cultivated. With Su Luo being chased to kill and fleeing all day long, it appeared as if she had never made a great effort to cultivate. In fact, Su Luo had a heaven-defying space. Moreover, the time in this space differed from the outside by 10 times. Furthermore, Su Luo could send her soul inside to cultivate alone in her space. As a result, up until now, Su Luo had never stopped cultivating, but her great effort, others completely couldn't see. So, when Su Luo advanced because of good luck, that was because the changes she accumulated daily had leapt to form a qualitative change. Without the accumulation from every day, how could she be promoted so quickly? These 10 days, Su Luo locked herself in the room and didn't take even one step outside. Su Luo sat cross-legged, specks of white light lingering around her body. These bright lights were all transformed using spirit force. Su Luo, with her eyes closed, could clearly see the circumstances in her own sea of knowledge. Following her promotion in cultivation, Su Luo's nothingness of space wasn't like before, where she could only cover one person. Now, it was 5 square meters in size. Inside this 5 square meters of nothingness of space, Su Luo was God. Within the same rank, if they were trapped in this nothingness of space, Su Luo could take action at will. It could be said that she was an unequaled existence within the same rank. In Su Luo's sea of knowledge, 512 golden threads had already fused into 256. In the course of this event, she had obtained teleportation. Although she couldn't sustain teleportation for very long, but it had still repeatedly saved her life. Chapter 1420, Roaming Dragon List 18. Don't know what changes would occur when 256 gold threads fused into 128. Su Luo was full of anticipation as she thought of this. But now, she didn't have time, because the competition for 50 to advance in the top 25 was today. Just like the times before, this was still carried out through drawing lots. But considering all kinds of comments from before, this time, after the assistant judges had a discussion, they unanimously decided that they didn't need Su Luo to personally draw lots. Wait until after everyone had finished drawing. The last remaining lot would be given to Su Luo. If it was like this, there wouldn't be any dirty tricks, right? No one could control this to use dirty tricks, okay? After all, there were 50 people. After the host announced it, the spectators under the stage all felt it was fair. Only then did their comments went down. Because Su Luo had won twice, and also because of all kinds of talks about dirty tricks, this time a lot of people had bet on Su Luo's win. In the end, it forcibly reduced Su Luo's compensation rate to 1 for 0. 1. If one was to bet 500 grams of silver, in the end, one only earned 50 grams of silver. If she lost, then all the bets would be lost. If it was like that, a lot of people thought of Su Luo's 5th rank strength. They secretly muttered, "A thuff Su Luo's master was the head judge. He couldn't do it so obviously right." Therefore, a lot of people once again turned to bet on Su Luo losing. Just in this kind of disorderly atmosphere, Su Luo stood on the stage. Number 7. Beichening proudly shook the engraved plate in his hand in front of Su Luo. This time, they weren't separated in groups of A and B, because altogether, there were only 50 people, so there simply was no need. This time's rule was, number 1 was matched with number 50, 2 matched to 49, and so on. Beichen Ying's number 7 was matched to number 44. Who was number 44? Su Luo cast a glance at the place opposite of Beichen Ying. She didn't recognize that person, but she seemed to have seen him once. Although she didn't know who his opponent was, however, Su Luo knew why he would be so pleased with himself. In order to earn a fortune with his gambling, Beichen Ying had directly dispatched the Mercenary Union's intelligence department. He sorted out all the information for the top 50 strong experts. He even gave it to Su Luo to have a look. The important people to pay attention to were all circled with a red pen. That person in front of Beichen Ying. At the moment, Su Luo swept by his name after one glance, and it showed he wasn't an important person. So, according to Beichen Ying's strength, this fight was naturally a steady win. Lan Xian and their group all had drawn good lots. Su Luo stood there like a statue, boredly watching the lots being drawn, one by one. Just when Su Luo was bored to death, a sinister gaze shot towards Su Luo. It immediately woke Su Luo up, giving her a thorny feeling. Su Luo subconsciously looked towards that figure. That was a graceful woman dressed in black from head to toe. Her figure was slim and elegant. However, she wasn't able to see her face, because her entire face was covered by a screen hat. Dark muslin hung down all around the screen hat, mysterious and also somewhat strange. This miss was interesting. The corner of Su Luo's mouth hooked into a shallow smile. If her luck was good, she hoped she would be fighting with her. "I hope I will fight with you." When this miss walked by Su Luo's side, she threw out an ice-cold sentence in a threatening manner. Su Luo immediately started to laugh. If possible, she very much wanted it too. This would depend on luck. Su Luo personally looked and saw that the number the miss in dark clothes with the screened hat held was number 13. If Su Luo wanted to battle with her, she needed to get number 38. 13, 38. These two were both unlucky numbers. Su Luo curled her mouth. In any case, she was unable to decide. She could let heavens arrange things. Chapter 1421, Roaming Dragon List 19. At this time, the numbers had almost all been drawn out, but that number 38 still hadn't been drawn. It still lay inside the box, unmoving. Why was Su Luo so certain like this? Because there still wasn't anyone opposite of that girl clothed in black with a screen hat. At this moment, her pair of vicious eyes was staring at her without regard for others. Although she wasn't able to clearly see that face under the screen hat, but Su Luo was more or less able to guess who this person was. At this moment, there were still 2 numbers lying in the chest. That hefty man walked up, cast a glance at Su Luo, and then extended his hand into the chest. Su Luo's eyes half narrowed. She wished this person could leave the number 38 for her. Although the number didn't sound good, but if she could personally dispose of that person, she wouldn't care if the number didn't sound good. When that hefty big man took out the number and handed it over to the host loudly announced, "Number 38. Su Luo was immediately depressed. The person who was even more depressed than Su Luo was that girl dressed in black. The gaze she shot towards Su Luo was ferocious, wishing she was able to pounce on Su Luo and tear her into pieces. When Su Luo felt the malice from the other person on her body, she cast a glance at the other side, and the corner of her mouth raised into a complacent sneer. Seeing the other side wasn't happy, she felt happy. "You just wait." That ice-cold voice came over. Su Luo indifferently spread out her hands and faintly replied, "Just afraid you won't have the chance to stand up in the next round." Tisk. That miss seemed to have heard the funniest joke on earth. She coldly scoffed, full of taunting intent. "You must be on the battle on stage and die in my hands." The black-clothed miss made a killing gesture. "Then let's wait and see." Su Luo indifferently laughed. This girl's identity seemed to be on the verge of coming out. Su Luo's turn for battle this time was relatively late. So, she sat at her seat and enjoyed the competition of others, full of interest. Beichen Ying's battle was brilliant. No one had anticipated that such an ordinary person had concealed such a big trump card, and that he would only take it out to use now, when 25 out of 50 would advance. However, Beichen Ying wasn't just mud that could be pinched. After going through a brilliant and varied contest, Beichen Ying finally kicked his opponent off the stage and obtained a place in the top 25. Lan Xian, Anya Ming, Ziyin, Nangong Luyun all advanced without one falling off. Only Su Luo alone remained. "Sister-in-law, your opponent, is Jade Lakesley family's people, Beichen Ying handed a handbook about the competitors to Su Luo. Pointing at that person, he said to Su Luo, "You see, he is at 7th rank in strength. He's an expert in fire attacks and speed. Look here, isn't he clearly put there to be oppressed by you?" Ziyin took that book and tossed it into Beichen Ying's bosom. "Aren't your strongest attacks using fire element and your speed? Who can be compared to you when it comes to these? Other things need not be said. Su Luo could also teleport. Try asking whose speed was faster than Su Luo's teleport." So, that competitor from Jade Lakesley family was only fated to be oppressed by Su Luo. "Okay, this time watch me." Su Luo stood up, smoothed out the crease on her skirt, and unhurriedly walked onto the stage. Li Maohai, the Jade Lakesley family's younger generation from a side lineage. He was about 30 years old, with a square face and a robust silhouette. He gave off a trace of being an iron-blooded man. Su Luo was just about to speak, when who would have thought? Li Maohai sent a despising glance at Su Luo, then waved his big hand and loudly roared, "I forfeit." A mouthful of old blood immediately blocked Su Luo's throat. Forfeit. Just when she was about to properly fight, the other side actually once again gave her a forfeit. Were even the damned heavens toying with her? Chapter 1422, Roaming Dragon List 20. Wasn't this the fighting stage? This was already the 3rd round. She hadn't had a change to even make a move. Forfeit. Forfeit your younger sister, Su Luo's heart was furious, She was trembling from head to toe in rage. In the wake of Li Maohai, this forfeit, immediately, the The spectators under the stage all boiled up. Forfeit? Why is he forfeiting? Why is it that every time it's Su Luo's turn, if it isn't the person not showing up or forfeiting, they would pretend to be weak? Dirty tricks, serious dirty tricks. Absolutely, there are dirty tricks. At this moment, the sounds of the spectators' discussion rose and fell in succession. Everyone present was riled up. Bei Qining and them were all stupefied. Forfeit? That person from the Jade Lakesleaf family actually dared to forfeit at this time? Why did he have to forfeit? His strength was clearly weaker than Su Luo's. He ought to concede or surrender instead. Now, he made it seem as if he was being forced by someone. Bei Qining gave a cold humph. He decided that when that person got down from the stage, he'd go over and have a proper chat with him. On the stage, Su Luo's face was cold like condensed frost. Her pair of eyes was like layers of ice accumulated for millennium. She ferociously glared at Li Maohai opposite of her. Say it clearly, why forfeit? Li Maohai hatefully glared at Su Luo, not speaking. At this time below the stage, Bei Qining started to loudly shout. What were you doing earlier? Why are you forfeiting after drawing lots? Fight 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 The right to forfeit? On the battle stage, forfeiters are cowards. That's right, this person from the Jade Lakesleaf family really doesn't have any courage, okay? Didn't he say he wasn't afraid of Su Luo? How is it that he admitted defeat before even fighting? Su Luo coldly sneered. How did Jade Lakesleaf family raise you? Such an afraid-to-die coward. Since you are afraid of dying, then don't enter the roaming dragon list competition. In the end, you want to say you forfeit. Aren't you placing Jade Lakesleaf family's face on the ground for people to step on? Su Luo's tone, when speaking, wasn't a bit polite. Li Maohai's hand at his side was clenched into fists, bursts of crackling sounds echoing from the bones. A layer of black air enveloped his face, with veins exploding out on his forehead. His pair of eyes was scarlet and bloodshot, as if at any time he would rush up to rip Su Luo into pieces. Su Luo thought. Under so many aroused emotions, Li Maohai was stirred up to this degree. She should have her wish fulfilled and have a fight, right? However, Su Luo absolutely did not expect that she really underestimated Jade Lakesleaf family's inheritance of shamelessness for thousands of years. Li Maohai took a deep breath, and he swallowed down all the humiliation. Finally, with a face full of resentment, he glared at Su Luo, the hate in his eyes like fire. Su Luo, this time, I'll let you go. The new young master of Jade Lakesleaf family will kill you with his own hands, using your blood as sacrifice for our Jade Lakesleaf family's reputation. The meaning of his words after translation was, I won't kill you now. I'm leaving you for our new young master to personally kill you. Finished speaking these words, Li Maohai waved his sleeves. He didn't bring away any of the clouds and directly floated far away. If it weren't for eldest Mrs. Instructions that he must set aside Su Luo for the new young master to settle. Just now, under that kind of circumstances, how could he have forfeited? Even if he was to die, he would have rushed over and fight, then discuss it. Li Maohai's heart was also bitter, but he didn't know. Him leaving like this directly sunk Su Luo into the ground of injustice. The rage in Su Luo's heart was simply hard to vent. The spectators under the stage all whispered in one another's ears, discussing this spiritedly. Now, Su Luo could be considered to have entered the top 25 experts? When had it become so easy to enter the top 25? That's right, I haven't even seen her make a move. She just stands on the stage, and her opponents either forfeits or won't arrive. This luck. Chapter 14:23, Roaming Dragon List, 21, Humph, Humph. You really believe that this was a matter of luck? Once is luck, second time is luck. Then what about the third time? It's also luck? Are you saying, why don't you consider her identity? The host country of the competition is her future husband's family. The head judge is her master, with such strong relationships. What's so difficult about secretly manipulating the results? Who would know? Didn't expect that there were so many dirty tricks in the roaming dragon list competitions. Who said there isn't? However, the further you go, the remaining expert strength would be even stronger. From 25 strong experts, aside from Su Luo, the rest of the people, the weakest is still 7th rank. Humph, see how she will win the next battle. Don't you guys forget, out of 25, only 13 will advance. That means there will be an empty spot. Hey, how could I have forgotten about this matter? TSK, looks like Su Luo will advance into the top 13. Below the stage, all the spectators was discussing this spiritedly, saying everything passionately. On the stage, Su Luo's face was black as charcoal, darker than Bao Qingtian's one face. Really angers me to death. Under thousands of staring eyes, Su Luo could actually walk off the stage without changing her expression. But after she returned to the southern mountains, Su Luo immediately exploded. Bei Qining couldn't bear it and laughed. You still dare to laugh? Ziyan lowered her voice and pinched his waist. I can't endure it. But in the end, Bei Qining couldn't bear it, covered his belly, and started howling with laughter. In the wake of Bei Qining laughing like this, suddenly, the mood of everyone at the scene wanting to laugh was like an ignited flame that rapidly spread. Everyone laughed, one after another, leaning to the east and falling down towards the west. They almost rolled around on the ground. They were all friends that lacked a conscience. In this kind of time, each and every one of them actually was laughing at her. Su Luo, very depressed, buried her head in Nangong Liuyun's chest. If it continues like this, she would be too embarrassed to see people. A smiling expression flashed through Nangong Liuyun's eyes. However, his self-control was very good. He only pursed his lips and smiled slightly. He tenderly hugged Su Luo, whose head was buried in his chest like an ostrich. He restrained his laughter and gently coaxed her. At the same time, His Highness Prince Jin's warning gaze swept past. Immediately, everyone present became silent. Bei Qining and the group all couldn't laugh anymore. All around, there was a kind of strange peace. It's all right, they stopped laughing. Nangong Liyun coaxed Su Luo and patted her head. In the beginning, you deliberately wore the dragon-decorated jade pendant. Wasn't it because you wanted your enemy to think you were weak? Now, like this, isn't it even better? It could be said it was like that, but that was her taking the initiative to showing a weakness. This was being forced to accept it, even though the result was the same. However, the process made it hard for her to accept, Forget it, didn't a great person once say, whether it's a black cat or white cat, able to catch a rat is a good cat. In other words, no matter the process, able to deceive those people and reach one's goal is good enough. Su Luo very quickly came around. In fact, she was not unreasonable. She was merely gloomy from being toyed with by that Li Maohai. Oh, that's right, that miss dressed in black is somewhat strange. Bei Qining also took notice of that miss dressed in black's existence. But no matter how his subordinates investigated, they still couldn't find any information on her. The only thing they knew was that this miss wasn't from one of the top 10 families in the world. Rather, she had climbed up step by step from the battles for the list outside of the roaming dragon list. And she was the number 1 on the list outside of the roaming dragon list. The final struggle for the champion for outside of the roaming dragon list wasn't even a bit intense. After Bei Qining recounted the matter to Su Luo, he then added another sentence, because at that time, that miss dressed in black didn't use all of her strength. Able to control the second-place winner firmly without using all her strength. Looks like this miss's strength is pretty good. Lan Xian said. 1. Bao Qingtian, a Northern Song Dynasty official known for his honesty, intelligence in judging cases, and his very dark complexion. Chapter 1424, Roaming Dragon List. 22. Luo, you must be careful. She is full of hostility towards you. Ziyin repeatedly exhorted. I know. Su Luo unconcernedly smiled. That person's identity, from her perspective, was on the verge of being revealed. However, Su Luo was really looking forward to having a battle with her, thereby settling all kinds of hatred and enmity from before. You shouldn't relax your guard like this. Her strength is really terrifying, Ziyin seriously said with a grave expression. I know. Su Luo smilingly nodded her head. The competition to enter the top 13 from 25 was arranged to start half a month later. The competitions had progressed to this point. The remaining were all elites. If they were placed in a small region, they were all characters that would seize that place by force. Recently, the rumors outside were very unfavorable towards Su Luo. All kinds of rumors raised a tremendous stink. Some protested, some marched. There were even some that ran naked in order to arouse all the parties' attention to the competition's fairness. However, this wasn't the modern world where public opinion could direct the upper layer of decision-makers. This was a different world, a world based on martial arts and seniority. Public opinion, with respect to Grandmaster Rong Yun's level of super strong expert, was just a fart. If he was not happy, he could wave his fist at will, and a city would forever disappear from this world. So, these public opinion, to him, didn't have any effect. Even more, there wouldn't be people that would express anything just based on the public opinion of the masses. The competition was held as scheduled. As far as Su Luo was concerned, this was the fourth competition. The first 3 rounds of the competition, whether she took the initiative or was passive, it could more accurately be said, she entered all 3 because of tricks. This round, Su Luo simply didn't even walk up to the stage. She would wait until the last remaining incense stick. No matter who it was, she would recognize them. Seeing Su Luo didn't even bother to walk up the stage, those common people started to discuss things once again. This time she won't use any dirty tricks, right? Who knows? Maybe that empty place lot is Su Luo's. That really could be possible. Maybe those assistant judges, in order to curry favor with the head judge, deliberately gave Su Luo that empty place lot. A countless number of voices calling things into question rushed forth like the tide, almost drowning Su Luo. But among the crowd, Su Luo was like an immortal fairy, standing there alone, apart from the world. She just sat there indifferently, her face holding a shallow smile. Her expression was calm without a ripple, as if nothing could affect her state of mind. Not far off in Jade Lakesley family's VIP guest room. The matter has been handled properly? Li Yaoyao's mouth hooked into a cold sneer. This time, she had moved some hands and feet, deciding to let Su Luo very fortunately draw that empty place lot. Because she knows when to kill a person, first raise her up high, lifting up to the highest point, then heavily throw her down. This kind of retaliation feeling was the most pleasurable. Let alone to say, if she let Su Luo to draw the empty lot again, reckon the masses would all go mad, right? Thinking up to here, Li Yaoyao's mood suddenly became good, and she laughed her head off. Eldest Mississippi, the elder guarding at Li Yaoyao's side, his eyelids flipping over. Okay. Li Yaoyao stopped her laughter, a sinister light flashing through her eyes. Must let Su Luo draw that lot. The same sinister smile flashed across the elder's face. To harm Jade Lakesley family to this degree. Death. With regards to Su Luo, this was the lightest penalty. This time, they must destroy all her reputation. Su Luo still didn't know that Li Yaoyao had this idea. If she knew, perhaps her expression wouldn't be so calm. On the stage, slowly the lot drawing began. In the wake of the people picking up the lot plate and leaving, Su Luo's eyes half narrowed. Chapter 1425, Roaming Dragon List, 23. There weren't many people left. Up until now, nobody had drawn the empty place lot. Su Luo suddenly had a bad premonition. That empty place lot couldn't be left for her again, right? This would definitely be a good thing for others, but for Su Luo, it was simply the worst. Although Su Luo looked calm on the surface, her heart was extremely anxious. Her pair of eyes would glance at the stage from time to time. When there were only 5 people remaining, that empty place lot still hadn't been drawn out. This simply was Su Luo's heart was very vexed. 4 left, 3 left, 2 left. Just at this moment was when the second to last person's turn. Time seemed to stop at this second. Now, there were only 2 lots left on the stage. One was the empty place lot. The other would be battling with the only 7th-ranked competitor. The remaining 25 people's strength was already clearly understood by everyone. Besides Su Luo, this insignificant 5th rank that could still mix with the top 25, there was another 7th rank that had superb luck. Able to stand among the top 25 based on a 7th-rank strength, it could be said it was a kind of luck. The mouth of the second-to-last person hooked into an icily arrogant smile. Soon after, he drew a lot. That person is? Oh heavens, that is Luo Haoming. Last roaming dragon list, number 1 Luo Haoming. Oh heavens, my idol, my Mr. Perfect. Immediately, everyone present became impassioned. Luo Haoming's contemptuous gaze swept his surroundings. Finally, his gaze stopped on Su Luo's body. It couldn't help but be said that Luo Haoming had a pair of very beautiful eyes. Pitch black like the night, abstruse with a never-before-seen beauty, very mysterious. When his gaze landed on Su Luo's body, Su Luo suddenly had a tense feeling of facing a great enemy. Such a strong pressure, such a vigorous, murderous aura. Su Luo's eyes narrowed slightly and had no choice but to admit that her right now simply wasn't at the same level as Luo Haoming. If he wanted to kill her, it was as easily as a turn of his hand. Luo Haoming carelessly tossed the lot he had drawn to the host. The host, who was full of a provocative manner, seemed to tremble somewhat with fear in front of Luo Haoming, looking very tense. His pair of hands firmly clasped that lot. When he opened it and looked, he immediately let out a breath of relief. Empty place. Young Master Luo's lot is the empty place one. In fact, the pressure on the host was huge too. Since earlier, the people above had sent down an order. The order was that he couldn't let Su Luo draw the empty place lot again. But not long before now, another powerful force threatened him, forcing him to think of ways to let Su Luo draw the empty place lot. And these 2 powers, neither were forces that the host could afford to provoke. Therefore, his heart was very much tangled. Now it's good. Luo Haoming had drawn out this empty place lot with tens of thousands of people focused on him. All the problems now had easily been solved. Looking at the spectators under the stage, you would know that it was most fitting for Luo Haoming to draw this lot for the empty place. It actually turned out to be Luo Haoming who drew the empty place lot. This is naturally more normal. The empty place lot should be given to His Highness Prince Jean Luo Haoming, these kind of champions in the contest, the superseded players. That's right. This will make people accept it wholeheartedly. Haha. Then should it be said that this time, Su Luo will really fight? Yes. But her luck really was pretty good. This time, she is matched against the only 7th rank among the top 25 experts. The rest of the experts are all at 8th rank or above. Isn't Su Luo only at the 5th rank? Faced with a 7th rank, shouldn't she directly concede? I hope that person won't be bribed. Then, like the last time, to voluntarily concede the match. Just this flavor made people even crazier and more dizzy, not knowing what today was. Others need not be said, just this appearance and bearing, Luo Haoming, in front of His Highness Prince Jean, was merely dregs. Long live His Highness Prince Jean. His Highness Prince Jean is a brilliant war god, number 1 under the heavens. His Highness is someone born every 1,000 years that will unify the world. Those women in their prime, each and every one of them madly rushed up, as if like this, they could be a bit closer to His Highness Prince Jean. Nangong Luyan disdainfully frowned. No one saw what he did, They only heard a cold humph. Suddenly, within 10 meters of Nangong Liyun's body, no one could get close. There were misses that squeezed forward, but before they got close, they would be knocked flying with a bang sound by an invisible force. If it was other people, they would have been squished as if crushed under a car's wheel. But Nangong Liyun completely ignored it, his indifferent gaze giving off an insufferably arrogant haughtiness. He gave an indifferent snort. Afterwards, he walked toward Su Luo and sat down by her, as if no one else was around. This place was Eastern Ling's VIP area. Ordinary people could not enter. It seems you're very popular, ah? Su Luo made fun of him. Really? Nangong Liyun didn't care about it at all. He grabbed Su Luo's hand and had his fingers intertwined with hers. Chapter 1427, Roaming Dragon List, 25. Those women are crazy because of you. You really aren't a bit interested? Su Luo's finger pointed in the direction of those crazed women. Why should I be interested? Nangong Liyun blinked his eyes that were full of innocence and at a loss. You are. Looking at his pair of monochrome, sharp and clear eyes, Su Luo's heart suddenly softened into a lump. That kind of person with tens of thousands of eyes focused on him would rather stay by her side to look after her in all kinds of ways. Sometimes, even Su Luo didn't believe why Nangong Liyun would be so good to her. It's your turn. Nangong Liyun pulled Su Luo by the hand and personally sent her up the fighting stage. Okay. Su Luo smiled lightly and left a kiss on Nangong Liyun's dark red lips. Wait for me to return victorious. Okay, I'll wait for you. Nangong Liyun's eyes flashed with a tender light. This was a tenderness that he had only toward Su Luo. Apart from her, no other person would get this kind of treatment. Although it was known that the opponent was only a 7th rank, Nangong Liyun still acted like a parent sending his own kid to kindergarten for the first time. Didn't feel reassured about anything. So, he simply didn't leave. Rather, he cast sidelong glances at the pillars on the stage. This way, he could conveniently control the news on the stage. Facing Su Luo was that 7th rank with good luck bursting from the seams. Aside from Su Luo, this person's luck would be considered the best. However, his good luck was about to end at this moment. Originally, he was full of confidence, because according to rumor, Su Luo was merely at the 5th rank. She relied completely on dirty tricks to enter the top 25 strongest. Then, if he didn't voluntarily forfeit, naturally he could win steadily. A pity that his imagination was well developed, but reality was extremely thin. Because he actually caught sight of His Highness Prince Jean with the legendary nature-defying strength. He just leaned against the pillar with both arms crossed before his chest and a constipated expression. His phoenix pupils swept towards him from the corner of his eyes. Just this glance scared him witless. He wished he could hurriedly leave behind everything and escape. However, he forced himself to be calm and cupped his hand out of respect to Su Luo. This person is Xinyuan Lin. This person is Su Luo. Su Luo smiled faintly. Finally able to fight a battle, fair and above board. This feeling, even thinking about it, made her feel invigorated. Su Luo's heart was happy to the extent she didn't even see that Nangong Liyun was not far away, protecting her. In fact, it seemed to Su Luo that even if she had her eyes closed, she could still win against Xinyuan Lin. Because Su Luo's real strength was at 8th rank, and Xinyuan Lin was at most a 7th rank. Xinyuan Lin, seeing Nangong Liyun's pressure in the beginning, he launched his fiercest attack, wishing to resolve the fight in the shortest amount of time possible. He wasn't hoping to kill Su Luo, because if he killed Su Luo, he wouldn't be able to escape. Xinyuan Lin was an expert in fire attacks. An endless number of fireballs, column of flames, and fire rocket shot towards Su Luo, almost going to drown Su Luo in a sea of fire. But what Xinyuan Lin didn't know was Su Luo was also an expert in fire attacks. If Su Luo wanted to show off her power, she could have just jumped up and with one palm, send Xinyuan Lin flying. But just at this moment, Each and every one of the groups under the stage's emotion was excited, waving their fists, shouting, "Fight! Fight! Fight! Attack Su Luo! Attack her! Quickly kick her off the battle stage!" Su Luo has no qualifications to stand on the battle stage. Among the crowds of spectators, various influential powers crisscrossed. Nobody knew who started it first, whether this person had evil intentions or not. In short, all of them used words to attack Su Luo. Su Luo originally wanted to drop Xinyuan Lin in one move, but after she heard these words, she suddenly changed her plans. Chapter 1428, Roaming Dragon List 26. Since her reputation was already rotten to this degree, why not let it continue to be bad like this? Then, she'd ruthlessly profit from it again. Because the next round, it was impossible for her to run into Xinyuan Lin, this kind of 7th-rank martial artist. Among the top 13, the worst was at the 8th rank. So what Su Luo must do was to put away her own trump cards. The less she exposed, the greater her chances of winning in the next round. As a result, Su Luo's original 100% strength, she withdrew 70% of it, using 30% of her strength to attack Xinyuan Lin, hitting his figure and making him sway. Didn't expect you were hiding this move. However, this trump card of yours, to me, is useless. Xinyuan Lin coldly smiled, the corner of his lips curving up. Receive this move. Xinyuan Lin exploded out all of his spirit strength in one split second. A strike that attacked violently with bold and fierce power. Under his intense attack, Su Luo seemed to be somewhat at a loss, not knowing what to do. She continuously dodged and escaped, whereas Xinyuan Lin repeatedly pursued behind her and attacked. Nangong Luyun saw Su Luo playing so enthusiastically, and he stroked his chin. The corner of his mouth bloomed into a shallow, tender smile. His family's Luo girl was extremely amusing. While on one hand, she felt indignant and wanted to rise up, on the other hand, she deliberately let herself be chased until it seemed as if she was running around in disorder. Under the stage, Bei Chening and the others had all finished their fights. Together, they sat to watch this fight that would allow Su Luo to flip over the rumors. Hey, what is Luo doing? That Xinyuan Lin is merely a 7th rank. Lan Xian sprayed out a laugh. Could it be that she, having been chased to be killed by people, got addicted to being chased? Bei Chening asked while laughing. How could Luo be like you guys? She is being strategic, okay? Ziyan despisingly looked at them. An Yiming also thought this was correct. Looks like she really listened to Ziyan's words. Once An Yiming said this, everyone quieted down. That black-dressed miss glared at Su Luo like a tiger watching its prey. It was put out that the new young master of Jade Lake's Leaf family wanted to personally kill Su Luo. There was also Luo Haoming and Mo Xiaoxuan. These people all had come with this mission from their family. If they could, in passing, get rid of Su Luo, how could they not go for it? Su Luo had so many people as enemies. If her trump card was revealed earlier with regards to her, it was like personally handing her life over to other people. Could Luo be born with the fate of always fleeing for her life? Even Bei Chening couldn't understand. How could she incite so many people's hatred to her? Was this another kind of skill? Li Aochen, Luo Haoming, and Mo Xiaoxuan. As long as Su Luo encounters anyone among them, it would be tragic. An Yiming's eyes flickered with light. As for that miss dressed in black, her strength is absolutely above 9th rank. What did you say? Everyone was all shocked. That miss dressed in black strength was above 9th rank? Even more awesome than them? How is it possible? Bei Chening was the first not to believe it. Lan Xian also didn't believe it. Ziyan was even more unconvinced. I just got promoted to 8th rank. I was taught personally by my master step by step. Who is that miss? At her age, she can reach 9th rank? You guys look. An Yiming pointed to the place where Nangong Luyun was. Then he pointed to the place where the miss dressed in black was sitting. The place where Nangong Luyan is exactly 100 meters distance from that miss dressed in black. And that miss dressed in black is 50 meters away from the battle stage. A ninth-ranked expert's long-distance attack just so happens to be 50 meters. Yes, Anya Ming's tone had a trace of heavy atmosphere. Second brother isn't guarding against Xin Yuan Lin on the stage, but rather that miss dressed in black below the stage. Chapter 1429, Roaming Dragon List 27. He was worried that the miss dressed in black would seize the opportunity to secretly move against Su Luo. Everyone was stunned. An Yiming was worthy of being a military affairs expert. Just based on distance, he could extrapolate so much information. If she is ninth rank, then Su Luo's strength would. Ziyin somewhat worriedly looked at Su Luo on the stage, who seemed to be in a difficult situation from being chased. Luo has a lot of trump cards. Don't need to be worried. If those people want to make an underhanded move, not mentioning others, she could just release Elder Ancestor Mo. Bei Chuning laughed complacently. Is Elder Ancestor Mo someone that could be casually tossed out? Ziyin slapped his head. If Elder Ancestor Mo was to appear out of nowhere, the people who didn't know would think Elder Ancestor Mo had thrown the rules of the competition into disorder. But what about the people that knew? This time, not only Grandmaster Rongyun came, there were also the rest of the Elder Ancestors. They had all gathered happily under one roof. The people weak in strength could not tell that Elder Ancestor Mo's inner core had been changed, but the strong, like Grandmaster Rongyun, they would be able to see though at a glance. Like this, not only would the matter of Su Luo being a space mage be exposed, in addition, this would thoroughly anger Central Palace's Mo family. At that time, matters would get out of hand. This won't work, that won't work. Don't tell me Luo should just wait to die? Bei Chen Ying became anxious. Third senior brother is there. Why are you so anxious? Ziyin unhappily said. While everyone was discussing matters spiritedly, the battle had reached the fiercest moment. Su Luo's fighting method was very simple. If the other side attacked, she would dodge, but this attack required spirit force. Xin Yuan Lin wasn't like Ziyin, that had a treasured elf that could replenish his spirit force. Therefore, he must stop to restore his powers. Then, at that time, Su Luo would conduct her own attack. Her strength was a lot higher than Xin Yuan Lin's, so her attacks, if she wanted it to be powerful, it would be powerful. If she wanted it to be weak, it would be weak. This kind of suddenly powerful, then suddenly weak, made it impossible for Xin Yuan Lin to figure out a pattern and ways to deal with it. Barely holding on, he was already tired and cut a sorry figure. Su Luo used this close-to-scoundrel-like method to simply grind away until the opponent finally fell from being grinded away. In the end, Xin Yuan didn't have even a thread of spirit force left on his body. Afterwards, Su Luo pressed him to the edge of the battle stage. She extended a single finger and lightly poked. Afterwards, Xin Yuan Lin was oppressed until he was completely drained. His body still fell straight down the battle stage. One could only hear a sharp sound, then saw dust rising from being disturbed. This round, Su Luo wins. The assistant judge at this time also raised an eyebrow while he hurriedly shouted this loudly. Su Luo had always gotten the empty place, never participated in a face-to-face fight. In fact, the pressure on him as an assistant judge was great. He was not like Grandmaster Rongyun, who sat up on high like a god in the clouds. He was an ordinary person that could be attacked by public opinion. So, this time, Su Luo won upright and openly, and the assistant judge was more relieved than any other people. But there was no applause that he had expected to come from among the spectators. Su Luo actually won. Jir, you call this a win? This is simply tiring the opponent to death, don't you know? In any case, it's also considered a win. He who knows? You guys say, do you think it's His Highness Prince Jean that secretly assisted in helping Su Luo win? Hey, What you guys said really is possible, I keep saying, how can a 5th rank defeat a 7th rank? This violates the rules of cultivation. The greatest possibility is that His Highness Prince Jean secretly assisted. As a result, this time, that Su Luo painstakingly defeated her opponent. Her credit was once again slandered until not even slags remained. When Su Luo turned her head, she saw Nangong Luyun smiling at her. His smile was like the cherry blossoms in March, tender and intoxicating. It was so beautiful that she couldn't shift her gaze away. Chapter 1430, Roaming Dragon List 28. At this moment, even if her name was being blackened, Su Luo's heart wasn't a bit displeased. Sorry for implicating you. Nangong Luyan held Su Luo's hand, eyes filled with apology. It's because you were worried about me. It's not like I'm an irrational little schoolgirl. How could I blame you? Moreover, you could stand here all along, ignoring your status. I'm very grateful for it. Su Luo hooked her arms into his, totally disregarding anyone else present. She raised her head to smile sweetly at him. Su Luo was not good at expressing her feelings, so it was always Nangong Luyun who wrapped around her, forcing her to respond to his affection. This was the first time that Su Luo clearly and openly told him that she really liked all the effort he had put in. Foolish girl. Nangong Luyun's slender finger hooked her white, jade-like nose. The two people's very sweet appearance immediately broke a lot of women's hearts. Su Luo could feel an innumerable number of jealous gazes on her body, but she didn't mind it in the least. Rather, she wrapped Nangong Luyun more tightly to her, her manner becoming more intimate. In the crowd, a black figure stood there unmoving. The gaze she looked at Su Luo with had a red scarlet provocation in them. Su Luo, didn't expect that your luck would be this good. Even till now, His Highness Prince Jean still doesn't loathe you. The miss dressed in black's voice was low, hoarse, and muffled as if it was squeezed through a door. You must live well. Wait for me to take your life. The miss dressed in black laughed coldly. Then she turned around and disappeared among the crowd. Li Yao Yao watched those two being so intimate. The murderous aura was like a raging flame in her eyes. She furiously instructed the youth across from her. In the next round, I'll try to get you to be matched against Su Luo. At that time, I order you to personally kill Su Luo. The youth dressed in blue across from her, he appeared ice-cold and arrogant. When he heard Li Yao Yao's words, the corner of his mouth hooked up slightly. The mocking flavor in his eyes was very clear. If you are willing to pay the price. When Li Yao Yao heard this sentence, she felt it was as difficult to bear as if she had swallowed a housefly. She clenched her fist tightly, but she still forced herself to agree. You should feel assured. The promise that was said, I certainly will honor. As long as you help me kill that slut. Okay. Li Aochen's words was indifferent, but carried a trace of indescribable self-confidence. Li Yao Yao looked at him, desperately biting down on her lips and turning her face away in hatred. Su Luo, Li Yao Yao, gnashing her teeth, grinded out these two words. Even if she had to suffer this humiliation in silence, she would also take revenge. This time, although there were still comments among the masses, however, it's not as intense as before. Su Luo's group returned to Southern Mountains. Next, it was the competition to enter the top 7 from the top 13. The opponents would be unprecedentedly strong. Su Luo simply could not be careless. Just when Su Luo was about to go into closed-door cultivation, a decree arrived from the Imperial Palace. It turned out that Emperor Jing wanted to see Su Luo. Why does he want to see me? Su Luo looked at Nangong Luyun in puzzlement. Maybe it's to praise you? Nangong Luyun unconcernedly raised an eyebrow. Nangong Luyun had never had much patience towards Emperor Jing. It could be seen how much Nangong Luyun could hold a grudge. Praise? Are you telling a joke? Su Luo tossed that so-called imperial decree into Nangong Luyun's arms. If your old man doesn't curse me, then that's already considered pretty good. You still hope will praise me? Simply a fantasy story, okay? If you don't want to go, then we won't go. In any case, it's not like he is important. Nangong Luyun lovingly embraced her. In passing, he tossed the decree to the ground. The eunuch that came to pass on the decree, his face swelled to a very red color. Without a doubt, he was angered to death by Nangong Luyun. Chapter 1431, Roaming Dragon List 29. Yes, this indeed was a world where martial strength was honored. However, the status of an emperor was still high above. His Highness Prince Jean, as a son of heaven, actually was this unfilial. The old eunuch wanted to say something, but with a sweep of Nangong Luyun's eyes from the outer corners, he immediately kept quiet out of fear. He didn't even dare to breathe. Go, why not go? Su Luo pulled Nangong Luyun to get up. I'm curious about your old man's reaction right now. At that time when Nangong Luyun snatched that place for the competition, Emperor Jing was so angry that he nearly hopped about. Now, all those people he had chosen were all eliminated, whereas she, Su Luo, had advanced into the top 13 strongest. She really wanted to go and see what kind of expression Emperor Jing had right now. Dragon Scale Horse's speed had always been fast, running with clatter-clatter of its hooves. Not long after, they arrived at the Imperial Palace. The repair on the Imperial study hadn't finished, so Emperor Jing still had to endure the awkwardness of handling government affairs in the main hall of the palace. When Nangong Luyun and Su Luo entered, he, as always, put up a front. Emperor Jing laid down his writing brush, eyes lifting up slightly. When he saw Nangong Luyun, he gave a cold humph. He only called for Su Luo alone, because he was afraid that at that time, Nangong Luyun would become tough. But outside of his expectations, Nangong Luyun really came with her. Not waiting for Emperor Jing to speak, Nangong Luyun pulled Su Luo to sit down. He ordered tasty food and drinks to be served and personally made the tea and delivered it to her. He very happily waited upon her thoroughly and a great deal, showing what was called the sky is big, the earth is big, but wife is the biggest. Emperor Jing, seeing this, felt his heart twist in pain. He felt this was really humiliating. His son, not even mentioning he had a noble identity, just based on his strength, that was 10th rank. 10th rank. But he, who was at the 10th rank, dropped his noble and respected identity to wait on Su Luo. Peeling oranges for her, peeling grapes, peeling bananas, and doing it himself. Then, looking at his actions, it definitely didn't seem as if it was his first time doing it. Emperor Jing, with great difficulty, resisted the urge to toss Nangong Luyun aside. With a black face, he walked over. Su Luo lifted her eyes and indifferently greeted Emperor Jing, Uncle Nangong. Emperor Jing gave a cold humph. After having eaten 2 losses from before, Emperor Jing also knew. If he made Su Luo unhappy, then Nangong Luyun certainly would make him feel extremely unpleasant. As a result, Emperor Jing resisted the gloominess in his heart and used a stiff face to say to Su Luo, I heard you entered the top 13 strongest. Before Su Luo could speak, Nangong Luyun unhurriedly said, Didn't you personally go to watch it? Don't tell me you don't even know the answer to this? You, this unfilial son? Shut up. Emperor Jing coldly snorted. He had never seen a person that would tear down his platform like this. And it just so happened that this unfilial son was the one he was most proud of. He really couldn't beat him, couldn't win in cursing him, couldn't persuade him. He could only be pissed off. The corner of Nangong Luyun's lips twitched. He unconcernedly leaned back on the comfortable chair, his dense brows raising slightly. If you have some matters, then quickly say it. His family's treasured Luo must hurriedly return to cultivate. Emperor Jing slanted a glance at Nangong Luyun, lightly coughed, and seriously said to Su Luo, I, the Emperor, know you have entered the top 13 strongest. The entire Western Jin country only has you and second child that entered this group. This point is worthy of being given recognition. Okay. Su Luo assumed the posture of listening seriously. So, in the end, what did Emperor Jing want to say? Emperor Jing humped twice. However, you should also acknowledge, in the first 3 rounds, you depended on cheating to advance. Su Luo's figure swayed. She used the gaze of looking at an idiot to look at Emperor Jing. Turn around 1,000 times. Emperor Jing finally spit out a mouthful of good pitting. What was he thinking of doing? Did he still resent that Nangong Luoyun didn't loathe him enough? These words he just said really made Su Luo want to beat up someone. Chapter 1432, Roaming Dragon List 30. Emperor Jing saw Su Luo looking at him foolishly and thought she was pretending, so he said, "In this last round, your luck is still good and you draw a good lot. Even if it's like this, your fights would be extremely difficult." So? Su Luo's smile was sweet and dazzling. The Emperor, don't have excessive expectations that you would enter the top 7 strongest. Because it is absolutely impossible for you to enter the top 7. Moreover, you could lose your life because of this. You say, am I right or not? Emperor Jing's face was full of the expression, I'm doing this for your own good. Emperor Jing actually asked her if he was right or not. Su Luo suddenly wanted to laugh. This was simply too funny, okay? Her goal was the 2nd place finish. If she didn't reach it, then in this lifetime, she wouldn't be able to marry Nangong Luoyun. So what? The corner of Su Luo's mouth hooked into a ghost of a smile. So what do you want to do? Now Su Luo was too lazy to even call him Uncle Nangong. These 2 words. Emperor Jing swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and he opened his mouth with great difficulty. But before he spoke again, he customarily glanced at Nangong Luoyun. Nangong Luoyun lifted his eyebrow up high and looked at Emperor Jing with a ghost of a smile. His gaze was derisive and mocking. This made Emperor Jing subconsciously feel somewhat guilty. But everything was for the future of Eastern Ling Empire. Emperor Jing clenched his fist tightly. His gloomy and cold eyes stared at Su Luo as he coldly said, "If you still consider yourself a citizen of Eastern Jing, then yield your place in the top 13. Yield my place?" It was as if Su Luo had heard the greatest joke in her life and looked at Emperor Jing in disbelief. How could he have the face to so righteously and confidently request she yield her place? Did he forget her master was Grandmaster Rongyan? Did he forget that her master was so protective to the point of being unreasonable? Su Luo released a long sigh. "I can't take care of this, you do it." No matter what, this person was still Nangong Luoyun's biological father. So, this kind of matter, it's hard for her to handle. It was more suitable for her to hand it over to Nangong Luoyun to take care of. A demonically alluring smile appeared on Nangong Luoyun's face. His pair of pitch-black ink-like eyes looked at Emperor Jing fixedly. Emperor Jing's heart became scared from being stared by him. Could the places in this round of competition be changed? Nangong Luoyun raised an eyebrow and seemed to smile. As long as a challenge is issued to Su Manor, and if Su Luo loses, of course, the person being challenged must agree. Otherwise, Emperor Jing seemed to realize he had gone a little too far. Who do you want Luo girl to yield her place to? At this moment, Nangong Luoyun seemed to be very relaxed and carefree. From his movements to speaking tone, not a trace of him being angry could be seen. Emperor Jing could not be sure of Nangong Luoyun's mood right now, but he still waved his hand to say, "Come in." Then a tall, sturdy, and robust male stood in front of Nangong Luoyun and the Emperor. "Nangong's son." Nangong Luoyun's eyebrow lifted slightly, and he cast sidelong glances at Emperor Jing. "It's him?" Nangong's son has the strongest potential among all the core disciples. Even Grandmaster Rong Yun said this too. Emperor Jing hurriedly added, but his luck wasn't good in the first round. He was matched up with Luo Haoming. Therefore, he didn't even enter the top 100. Grandmaster Rong Yun? You still remember who Luo's master is? Nangong Luoyun's eyes gradually became cold. Emperor Jing's heart was somewhat scared, but he pretended to be calm on the surface. Yes, I remember. Nangong Liuyun's eyes became cold in an instant. He stood up, towering over to look down on Emperor Jing. You know Luo's master is Grandmaster Rongyun. You also know Grandmaster Rongyun is the head judge. Now, in a demented moment, you actually want Su Luo to withdraw and give her place to him? Nangong Liyun felt that Emperor Jing was simply as stupid as a pig. No, this was simply an insult to pigs. Demented? You actually dare to curse your father as demented? Emperor Jing angrily roared, and with a slap sound, he stood up. Cursing you as demented is considered pretty light. Do you know how protective Grandmaster Rongyun is? Do you know that if you substituted Su Luo's qualification to compete with someone else, you, the entire Nangong family, maybe even the entire Easter Ling Empire, absolutely would be annihilated by Grandmaster Rongyun until it vanished in a puff of smoke. Do you understand or not? Nangong Liyun simply wanted to toss Emperor Jing out the window. Where could you find an emperor who is stupid to this degree? How could it be this serious? After hearing Nangong Liyun saying these words, Emperor Jing suddenly had some lingering fear. It's just this serious, moreover, it could be even more serious than these consequences. Nangong Liyun closed his eyes. When he opened them once again, a cold light flashed through his eyes. If there is another time, then you take responsibility for the consequences. Afterwards, Nangong Liyun pulled Su Luo along, turned around, and left. Nangong Liyun, you this unfilial son, you will meet with retribution. Emperor Jing, panting in a rage, yelled at Nangong Liyun. In this lifetime, he had never been threatened by someone like this. You want him to take part in the competition, right? Nangong Liyun turned his head back. A sinister Satan-like smile bloomed on his face. Don't know how he moved. One could only see a white light flash by. Ah! Nangong Sun only felt as if all the bones in his body had shattered, giving a blood-curdling scream of pain. At this moment, the cold sweat on his head rolled down like torrential rain. Nangong Sun. Emperor Jing looked at Nangong Sun's bitter appearance, and his heart jumped. If next time you still dare to put forward this kind of rude request, Nangong Jing, don't forget, you still have a son called Nangong Ju. After he finished his threat, Nangong Liyun led Su Luo by the hand, turned around, and left the main hall. The implication was if Emperor Jing dared to recklessly mess around again, Nangong Liyun would definitely make a move against Nangong Ju. This threat could be said to be very serious. Emperor Jing's entire person seemed to be hit by lightning. He stood motionless there, like a statue. Chapter 1433. Person that came has ill will, 1. Nangong Liyun brought Su Luo out of the palace. Su Luo looked at Nangong Liyun's spitting in rage appearance, and she softly comforted him. Even I didn't get angry. Why did you get angry? It's not like I don't understand that father emperor of yours. What's so strange about him doing something like this? Nangong Liyun had a taut face. He did not say a word. Su Luo could only continue to comfort him. In any case, he only thought about it and nothing more. A matter that can't happen. You really don't need to get angry. I'm not angry. Nangong Liyun's face spread out in a smile. His smiling expression was light as clouds and gentle as the wind. Then just now you still. His pretense looked real. He had even fooled her. Nangong Liyun sighed. If I don't make the matter sound more serious, don't know what he would do. In Emperor Jing's heart, Su Luo was not worthy of being with Nangong Liyun. Therefore, if Su Luo wanted to marry Nangong Liyun, any sacrifice she made was expected out of her. Therefore, he would do something like this, even knowing that Grandmaster Rongyun was the head judge. I'm afraid that Emperor Jing won't be able to sleep these days. Su Luo's mouth pursed into a smile. Nangong Liyun's last sentence was full of threat. More than enough to frighten Emperor Jing. I hope so. But Nangong Luyun did not hold any hope for Emperor Jing. The two people talked and laughed, neither putting the matter just now to heart. Very quickly, the dragon-scaled horse returned to the southern mountains. After this day, Su Luo went in a single-minded closed-door practice. Emperor Jing's words to Su Luo were not completely useless. At least, it solidified Su Luo's determination to win. Su Luo wanted Emperor Jing to open his eyes wide and see clearly. Not only was she able to enter the 7th position, she could even enter the semi-finals. Inside the secret room, Su Luo sat cross-legged, with both eyes tightly closed. After a period of cultivation, the fire element attack had already been cultivated to the last stage. Before, Grandmaster Rong Yun had personally delivered a book called Exploding Flame Technique to Su Luo. When Su Luo received this book, she felt that her master's cultivation was so high as to be immeasurable. Because only she knew that her cultivation of the fire element had reached a bottleneck, so she needed to break through to be promoted. She hadn't told this to her master, but her master already knew everything. He even sent her a book, Exploding Flame Technique, from being so considerate. Exploding Flame Technique was a high-level martial arts secret book. It was even better than the secret books she had gotten from the 9 different palace halls. In the world, there was a market for the book, but it was simply priceless because high-level secret martial arts books like this were certainly held in the grasp of the hidden powerful families in the world. Looking at the Exploding Flame Technique in her hand, Su Luo's lips formed a shallow smile. The feeling of having a master was really good. After discarding all else, Su Luo opened the first page. The Exploding Flame Technique's first move was a martial arts pattern, transforming the fire element into a flaming panther. At one glance, Su Luo's face became bitter, not knowing how to react. Spirit strength was an illusory fire element. It was even harder to fuse. Normally, at most, she would condense out a fireball column of flame, fire rocks, and such weapons attack. But now, this book of Exploding Flame Technique clearly required one to transform spirit force into a flame panther. This kind of difficult range was already beyond Su Luo's current strength. However, that black dress figure appeared in Su Luo's eyes. According to what Anya Ming said, that person already had the strength of a 9th rank. First, not even mentioning why she would leap up that quickly, that 9th rank was true and not a bit false. 9th rank versus 8th rank, Su Luo's odds of success were smaller than a fingernail. No, I absolutely can't lose to her. Su Luo clenched the fists at her side tightly, an unswerving determination flashing through her eyes. Chapter 1434. Person that came has ill will too. With regards to others, it was merely 10 days' time, but for Su Luo, it's not the same. She had a space that slowed down time by 10 times, so she had a full 100 days. This 100 days, Su Luo didn't eat nor drink. She was completely immersed in cultivating the Exploding Flame Technique. The Exploding Flame Technique was divided into 3 stages. The first stage, condense out a Flame Panther. The second stage, the condensed out Flame Panther must have a strong attack attribute. The third stage, to condense out at least 2 Flame Panthers with strong attack attributes. The 3 stages, the written words seemed to be very simple, but to make it work was extremely difficult. After 30 days of cultivation, Su Luo finally condensed out a complete Flame Panther. This Flame Panther looked as if its whole body was an ignited raging inferno, seemingly fierce and brutal. But in fact, it was stuck there like a block of wood standing there foolishly. It had no spirit nor a breath of vitality. However, Su Luo didn't get discouraged. In any case, she had cultivated out the first stage of the secret technique. As for the second stage, how did she give a spirit into this Flame Panther? This completely stumped Su Luo. 30 days had passed, and Su Luo still hadn't found her way through the second stage. And another 30 days passed, This flame panther still foolishly stood there, looking at Su Luo. Water and fire was incompatible. Fire and ice naturally were also opposites. Su Luo knew that person dressed in black was an ice elemental mage, so she would persistently cultivate her fire element. She was preparing this to use to attack her. The last 10 days. The spirit is power. Su Luo thought about it until her head was about to explode. Just at this time, the little stone's arrogant tone unhurriedly reached her. Your mental strength is extremely lacking. Is this the reason? Su Luo sincerely asked. Was it because her mental strength was too weak, so she couldn't cultivate to the second stage? The little stone's mouth curled non-committally. The thing you must do right now is to increase your mental strength. With regards to others, to increase their mental strength is very hard. However, for Su Luo, there was a shortcut she could walk. How? For you? The little stone tossed a thing that was shiny and bright. What is it? Su Luo accepted it with curiosity. Spirit strength, the little stone said in annoyance. Spirit strength? Su Luo looked at little stone with disbelief. Where did he get this spirit strength? Since I gave it to you, just accept it. The little stone unhurriedly closed both eyes to cultivate. Ever since last time, when he had excessively used up his strength, up till now, his spirit strength hasn't been restored. Su Luo looked at that crystal ball and felt it looked very familiar. Very quickly, she remembered. Wasn't this the crystal ball that elder ancestor Mo used to gather the million souls after exterminating the soldiers of northern Mo? At that time, this crystal ball was full of black threads, and those thin black threads were the so-called spirit strength. Now, it was obvious that more than half of the black threads were gone, and the remaining spirit strength was really sparse. However, it's still better than nothing, as Su Luo consoled herself. After the little stone tossed the crystal ball to Su Luo, he closed his eyes and entered the nothingness of cultivation mode, thoroughly tossing Su Luo to the side. Su Luo held that crystal ball and was somewhat dumbfounded. In the end, how did she use this crystal ball? She completely didn't know how to operate it. Just when Su Luo didn't know what to do would be best, a faint cold air came from the crystal ball and crawled up Su Luo's wrist. Soon after, it spread towards Su Luo's 4 limbs and hundreds of bones. So cold, Su Luo subconsciously shivered. This spirit force was like a water snake rapidly crawling around inside Su Luo's body. Just when Su Luo was about to capture it, suddenly, Su Luo felt a slight spirit fluctuation in her sea of knowledge. Chapter 1435, Person that Came Has Ill Will 3. In the end, this strip of spirit strength didn't know if it heard a summon. Following a direction, it crawled towards Su Luo's sea of knowledge. Finally, it obediently sat cross-legged in Su Luo's sea of knowledge, curled into a ball. What Su Luo didn't know was spirit strength wasn't hard to gather. However, the hardest part was to draw this spirit strength into one sea of knowledge. But because Su Luo had space, these spirit strength simply didn't require to be drawn specially to her. They would follow their instincts to crawl obediently into Su Luo's sea of knowledge. Compared to many cultivators, Su Luo was simply blessed to the sky. Originally, there wasn't that much spirit strength inside the crystal ball to begin with because at that time, half of it was absorbed by elder ancestor Mo. Afterwards, half of the remaining was absorbed by the little stone. In the last several days, Su Luo concentrated fully on absorbing the spirit strength in order to make her mental strength stronger. In the wake of her spirit strength increasing more and more, her mental strength getting stronger and stronger, Su Luo actually discovered that her nothingness of space had also expanded. From the original 5 square meters, it had expanded to 10 square meters. This was simply an accidental happy side effect. Just the day before the official competition began, Su Luo's mental strength finally swelled past the critical point. She gave her spirit strength to the Flame Panther. Roared, the Flame Panther transformed from the flames, looked to the sky, and bellowed. That imposing manner seemed to have the deterrent force of heaven and earth, making a person's heart jump. Finally succeeded. A happy smile flashed through Su Luo's eyes. When Su Luo pushed open the door and walked out, she found those several people were all gathered in the main hall, aside from Nangong Liyan. Bei Chening was the first to discover Su Luo's presence, and he whistled in a wolfish manner. Lan Xian returned to his senses when he saw Su Luo, and he subconsciously blanked his eyes. Sister-in-law, within 10 days' time, how was it that you've changed? Changed? A trace of puzzlement flashed through Su Luo's eyes. What Lan Xian said is correct. Luo, it seems as if some part of you doesn't look the same. Ziyin took several steps forward, circling around Su Luo several times and sizing her up very carefully. But in the end, she still just wrinkled her brows. Because that was just a perception, a subconscious sense, the kind that couldn't be described or understood. She seems more pure and bright, giving people a refreshing feeling. Bei Chening said his thoughts. Su Luo was just about to poke fun at him for saying rubbish, but Ziyin continued with what Bei Chening said. This time Little Shadow didn't say it wrong. Luo, the you right now really gives people a kind of pure and holy feeling, just like a goddess that has descended. So it wasn't me alone? Lan Xian leaned forward against the back of the chair, his bright star-like eyes shining. But why? Is it because you cultivated some technique? Bei Chening also copied Lan Xian's posture and grabbed a chair, sitting backwards and leaning onto the chair's back. His bright and clean chin was placed on the back of the chair, with his eyes flashing with curiosity as they looked at Su Luo. Su Luo suddenly felt the pressure increase. Does exploding flames technique count? Su Luo took out the exploding flames technique her master gave her to let everyone have a look. Everyone chattered as if something mysterious had happened. But how was it that she couldn't feel that she had suddenly become more pure and holy? Could it be that the exploding flame technique also had this ability? Exploding flame technique, this is good stuff. Bei Chening cried out in surprise. That's right. Isn't this something only a person at the 9th rank can learn? Sister-in-law, aren't you at the 8th rank? What did you say? Only a 9th rank can learn it? Su Luo suddenly opened her eyes wide. That's not what Master told her. Indeed, a 9th rank, this is definitely not wrong. Bei Chening dared to use his life to swear on it. At that time, Grandpa had indeed explained it to him like this.